Mojtaba is now signaling that he may keep the Strait of Hormuz shut even after a deal with the United States is signed, stunning observers who expected sanctions relief to be tied directly to reopening this crucial oil choke point. Mojtaba has shocked Trump by holding firm after the U.S. military broke the truce and bombed targets in Iran, using Washington's renewed strikes as justification to maintain maximum pressure in the Gulf despite ongoing diplomacy. Trump is desperate to bring down spiraling oil prices at home, but Iran appears unwilling to offer any relief, refusing to reopen Hormuz or boost exports until it sees concrete, long-term changes in U.S. behavior rather than mere promises. Amid ongoing peace talks, the U.S. and Iran have discussed a detailed plan to eventually reopen the Strait of Hormuz, trying to balance de-escalation with security concerns in one of the world's most critical energy choke points. According to reporting on May 25 that cited a Middle East diplomatic source, these Hormuz discussions were quietly taking shape behind the scenes even as public rhetoric from both sides remained tense. Under the emerging proposal, the Strait of Hormuz would remain shut for 30 days after Iran and the U.S. sign a peace deal, creating a fixed window to carry out safety and demining operations before normal traffic resumes. During this 30-day period, Iran would take responsibility for clearing mines from the strait, working to remove explosive hazards so that commercial and energy shipments can eventually pass through without fear of attack or accident. Once the mines are cleared, ships would again be able to cross Hormuz freely and safely, restoring the vital flow of oil and other cargoes that global markets depend on. As part of the package, Iran would also stop collecting transit fees in the Strait of Hormuz, signaling a willingness to reduce its direct financial leverage over the waterway in exchange for broader political and economic gains. Earlier, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio made a strong public statement about the situation in Hormuz, signaling Washington's impatience with the ongoing shutdown. Rubio declared that the Strait of Hormuz would be opened one way or another, framing U.S. policy as uncompromising when it comes to ensuring freedom of navigation through the key maritime corridor. He described the current restrictions on the waterway as unacceptable and illegal, accusing Iran of using Hormuz as a tool of coercion and vowing that the U.S. and its partners would not let that status quo stand indefinitely.
His desire to make it, he's either going to make a good deal or no deal. So, on that, everyone should be assured, but that may take a little while. There'll be a few more days. Well, the straits have to be open. They're going to be open one way or the other. So they need to be open. What's happening there is unlawful, it's illegal, it's unsustainable for the world, it's unacceptable. I don't know of any country in the world that has the Russians are not in favor of a tolling system, the Chinese are not in favor of a tolling system, and there's no country in the world that's in favor of a tolling system except the regime in Iran. So that's not acceptable. That cannot happen. The straits need to be open, unimpeded, without tolls, and obviously that needs to happen immediately as soon as they can do so.
These developments came just days after Iran announced a new Hormuz management zone, a move that underscored Tehran's intent to formalize and tighten its control over traffic in the strait even as talks with Washington continue. Iran on May 20th revealed the exact extent of its controlled maritime zone in the Strait of Hormuz, publicly indicating how far its authority and enforcement will stretch across one of the world's most critical energy choke points. Tehran's new Persian Gulf Strait Authority announced this move on X, using the social media platform to formally introduce its mandate and signal to the international community that it will play a central role in overseeing navigation through the waterway. The Persian Gulf Strait Authority said, and I quote, "Zone is the line connecting Mount Mubarak in Iran and southern Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates on the eastern side of the strait, extending to the line connecting the end of Keshem Island in Iran and Al Quwain in the United Arab Emirates on the western side of the strait. Movement within this area for passage through the Strait of Hormuz requires coordination and obtaining a permit from this body." Unquote. Iran had effectively closed the Strait of Hormuz following US-Israel strikes on February 28, disrupting normal shipping patterns and demonstrating its ability to choke off vital oil and gas routes in response to military pressure. Beyond Iran's closure of parts of the strait, the United States imposed its own naval blockade in the area, a step that Tehran has condemned as illegal and as a blatant violation of its sovereignty and established maritime norms. Iran created the Persian Gulf Strait Authority to formally regulate and oversee traffic in the Strait of Hormuz, centralizing control in a new body designed to manage shipping, security, and compliance with Iranian directives. The PGSA said its account would provide real-time updates on operations in the waterway, turning it into an official channel for alerts, instructions, and situational reports aimed at both domestic and international maritime audiences. Ships intending to cross the Strait of Hormuz will receive electronic notifications outlining applicable rules, procedures, and safety requirements, ensuring that all vessels are clearly informed of Iran's regulations before they enter its declared control zone. Trump ally Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is reportedly ready to recognize Israel today, suggesting that, from his perspective, Riyadh could move toward formal ties with Israel far more quickly than many observers expected. According to the Crown Prince, his father King Salman remains the main obstacle to such a move, with the aging monarch's long-standing commitments and more traditional stance on the Palestinian issue acting as a decisive brake on immediate recognition. Trump ally Mike Evans disclosed this claim in a report cited by the Jerusalem Post on May 25, presenting his account of private conversations as evidence of how close Saudi Arabia might be to a historic policy shift. Evans, who is the founder of the Friends of Zion organization and a longtime supporter of Israel, has long positioned himself at the intersection of evangelical, pro-Israel, and Republican politics, amplifying messages that cast Trump as a uniquely pro-Israel leader. He said he met the Saudi Crown Prince for 2 hours, describing an extended discussion in which MBS spoke bluntly about Palestinians, Israel, and the future of the region's political map. Evans claimed that during this conversation the Saudi Crown Prince was sharply critical of the Palestinians, accusing them of squandering financial support and political opportunities provided by Saudi Arabia and other Arab states. According to Evans, MBS also rejected the idea of dividing Jerusalem into 2 capitals, warning that any such arrangement would turn the city into a terror capital rather than a stable seat of peace or shared sovereignty. All of this is unfolding as US President Trump moves to explicitly link a potential Iran deal to the Abraham Accords, signaling that in his view, progress with Tehran and expanded Arab-Israeli normalization should proceed together as part of a single strategic vision. Trump has said that nations including Qatar, Egypt, Pakistan, Jordan, and Turkey should join the Accords, effectively challenging a broad range of Muslim-majority countries to follow the normalization track and deepening the fault lines already visible across the region. Mike Evans, a Trump ally, said, and I quote, "When I talked to the Crown Prince, he told me that he would acknowledge Israel today. But he said his problem was his father. I think it's genuine. Donald Trump has got enormous negotiating leverage with Saudi Arabia right now. Enormous leverage. And I don't think there's any question of the doubt that the president plans on delivering these countries because he's trying to move towards a genuine peace." The Crown Prince said, speaking to the Palestinians, "They wasted our money." He said they shouldn't be attacking Israel. They should be copying Israel. When he spoke about Jerusalem, he said if there was ever 2 capitals in Jerusalem, it'd be a terror capital. He appeared to be more pro-Israel than a large percentage of the Jewish population. He's built a lot of friendships, and he can deliver on them. Most of the ammunition that has created the problems for the state of Israel and for the Jews worldwide is the Muslim Brotherhood. By creating this alliance with these Sunni countries, Abraham Accords, you are checkmating the Muslim Brotherhood. No president in history has done more for the state of Israel than this president. You've got to look at the positive rather than the negative. I don't believe Iran is going to keep their promises. If they try to play him for the fool, he'll come back and hit them. They would make a terrible mistake to underestimate this president, unquote. The Abraham Accords, mediated by Donald Trump, are a set of agreements signed in 2020 that were presented as historic. These accords normalized diplomatic ties between Israel and several Arab nations, opening the door to embassies, trade, security cooperation, and public political engagement that had previously been limited or entirely behind the scenes. Pakistan's defense minister has publicly rejected the idea of Pakistan joining the Abraham Accords, stressing that such a move would clash with the country's long-held ideological positions and its stance on the Palestinian question. The Pakistan defense minister said, quote, "Personally, I don't think we should join any such accord that clashes with our fundamental ideologies. How will you sit down with those people whose word cannot be trusted even for a single day? We have a very clear stance that this is not acceptable to us. And secondly, on our passports, we are the only country whose passports don't even include Israel's name," unquote. Donald Trump reportedly told Arab and Muslim leaders that he expects progress on ties with Israel after an Iran deal. An Axios report said the message came during a May 23 call with regional leaders. According to Axios, leaders on the call told Trump they supported the emerging deal with Tehran. The call reportedly included Saudi Arabia, the UAE, Qatar, Pakistan, Turkey, Egypt, Jordan, and Bahrain. Trump then asked countries outside the Abraham Accords to normalize relations with Israel. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Pakistan notably still do not have formal diplomatic relations with Israel. One official told Axios there was silence on the line after Trump made the request. Axios also reported that Trump then joked by asking whether the leaders were still on the call. One official said Trump told the group he would speak with Benjamin Netanyahu next. The Trump administration now appears to be looking at a broader expansion of the Abraham Accords in the aftermath of an Iran deal.